Do that again. Okay, we're going to get started, and today we are talking about how to make good choices. And ultimately, my wish in life, and my wish for you as well, is that you get more and more and more of what you desire in life. And I feel like there's a lot that goes into that, but a big part of it is the choices that you make. Like we all know, like the choices we make today are going to affect our health 5 years, 10 years from now, tomorrow, all that kind of thing. So when it comes to your health, decisions are important, choices are important. But actually, I think when it comes to every aspect of our lives, it's really important to make choices that are consistently aligned with your best interest. And I know it sounds a little silly because we think, well, why would I ever make a decision that's not in my best interest? Well, I think we do it all the time. I mean, anybody who's ever had a glass of wine, and I'm not trying to put down wine. I mean, I like to enjoy wine too, but we do know like it's not really good for us to drink alcohol, but we do it anyway, right? And that's fine, I think, if we do that in small amounts, but big picture, the more positive choices we make, the better we are in life. And so how do we do that? So there are basically three aspects to it. The first is what I call ability, and we're going to go into that. And the second is wisdom. And the third is information. And the information part is short. The ability and wisdom part is where we're going to spend most of our time today. But before we do that, I want you to just, for a moment, just kind of, if you're driving, don't do this, but kind of just maybe close your eyes if you want. You don't have to, but just check in with your body and see what you see. Our emotions manifest in our body. So you might have some emotion, you might have some senses, you might have something that grabs your attention. And you could just note how you feel. That's really all we're doing. And now what I would like to ask you to do, and you can open your eyes for this, is stand up. And Nancy, Sylvie, Majette, I know Majette, you're driving. Nancy, Sylvie, I don't know what you're doing because I can't see you, but if you can stand up for just a moment, we're just going to do a little bit of movement. And so, yeah. So what I'd like you to do is we're going to just roll. I'm going to take off my glasses for this. You're going to roll your neck, roll your head. You can go down first and then just pick the right or left and just kind of give your neck a nice roll. If your neck is really tight, you might not be able to do all the way around. Just do what you can in reverse direction. Can't really do this when you're driving. And then we're going to roll our shoulders back a few times. Really get it feeling your upper back as well as you do that, and then forward. Because when you roll your shoulder, you really should feel your entire upper back being engaged for that. And then we're going to take our arms and give them a little stretch. So I don't have a lot of room, but you can kind of go like this, or like this, or I like this one. This is the big one. I usually do like a reverse, a few directions. And I do that in the morning. And then we're just going to kind of wiggle. So you can start by putting your hands over your head and wiggling them, wiggling your hands and your arms. You can wiggle your torso, your neck, your head, your legs, your butt, your toes, and just give a nice good wiggle of the body. And this should feel good. Just let go a little bit. And now we're going to do a little stretch of the waist. So what we're going to do is you're going to always keep your chest and your hips facing forward. As you bring your hands up over your head, your palms together, your feet are together, your legs are a very slight bend, your hips are strong. And then you're just going to lean your upper body over to the right. But as you do that, your hip is going to come out to the left. Make sure your chest and your hips are facing forward. And just go as far as feels comfortable for you. And come up. And then kind of reset your arms and then go back. Now your arms are going to go over to the left. Your hips going to go out to the right. You're looking forward. Your hips and your chest are facing forward. And we'll do it one more time to the right. You could feel a nice big stretch in your left waist when you do that side, and then go back over and feel that stretch in your right side. We're going to do one more little thing. What you're going to do is you're just going to move your upper body to the right and left and let your arms swing. It feels like a nice little relaxing kind of floppy little movement. You'll feel a little stretch in your waist. Okay. So now you can keep standing or you can sit down. If you keep standing, it's a little bit easier because we're just going to do a couple of breaths. If you're sitting down, you can do this. And what we're going to do is when we inhale, we're going to open up the chest. So the shoulders will open up, the chin will go up a little bit, but you're going to use your hips. This is a way to get a deeper belly breath, is to engage your hips. So when you open up and you inhale, your chest is opening up, but you'll feel a little arch in your lower back. If you're sitting at the edge of your chair, it's a lot easier to do this. And your hip bones, you know, those little bones in your hips, they're going to point forward. So your butt's going to come back and you're going to have that arch in your back. And that's how you inhale. And then when you exhale, you do everything the opposite, right? So you fold your arm, your upper back, lower back out. So you're curving your lower back. And then the breath can be pushed out. And when you exhale, you can use your belly muscles a little bit to exhale. Okay, so we'll do a few breaths together. So inhale, opening up, open the chest, fill up your belly with breath. And then exhale. And ideally doing it through your nose. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, so that was about 6 or 7 minutes. Now I want you to just kind of do what we did before, just look inside, just notice. You can close your eyes if you want, and just notice how you feel, if there's any difference in how you feel. Do you feel it? Anything? A little looser? A little more relaxed?
Yeah, my neck is looser.
It's amazing how much we kind of, we hold like, I'm working, I'm doing things, I'm cooking, you know, like we hold ourselves tight a lot. So when you do a little bit of movement like that, the movement part was probably about 4 minutes. I mean, you could do this 4 or 5 times a day. Just remember, or you just do a couple breaths. And this alone will just make your life better. If nothing else, you'll be a happier, healthier, calmer person if you just do that a couple times a day. So that's one little thing you can do to just, I mean, ultimately, I'm not going to tie it to choices right now, but just in general, will make your life better. And now what I'd like to do is a meditation, which I'm not sure exactly how many minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes it's going to be. And there's going to be a sound that you're going to hear in the background. It's called an alpha sound, which is to help your brain get into the alpha state. So when we're awake, we're in the beta state. I'm heavily in beta right now. These are brain waves. They're just brain waves. There's nothing woo-woo about it. If you did a brain scan, you would see my brain is in beta waves, right? It's frequency. When we're kind of falling asleep, our brain goes into alpha. light sleep, pre-light sleep. And then when we're a little bit more, we're really asleep, it's theta. And then there's delta. And delta is really like deep sleep. So when you meditate, if you can get your brain into alpha, that's good because you're going to feel more relaxed. Sometimes you can even go into theta, which is going to feel even more like you're relaxed, but not one is not better than the other. It's just a different state of mind, essentially. When you go into alpha during the day, you may feel a really strong sense of feeling refreshed afterwards. So just like you felt a little refreshed from movement, you can get the same thing from short little meditations. And the way that we're going to do it is I'm going to teach you the 1, 2, 3 method. It's a countdown. I'm sorry, 3, 2, 1 method. It's a countdown. And what it's going to do is that sound in the background is going to help your brain get into the alpha state more readily. And the counting down is going to help your brain get into that alpha state more readily. So you'll hear the sound and you'll hear me talking. I'm going to put the sound on first because I don't want it to be too loud. And I want to get feedback from you to make sure that it's not too loud. So 1 second. Okay. That's probably too loud.
That's good.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very much background though. It's not like obnoxious, right? It's just sort of in the background, right?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, so as we do this, I'm just going to be talking and you just follow my instructions. That's all you have to do. Okay. We will begin this exercise with the 3 to 1 method. Find a comfortable position, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. While exhaling, mentally repeat and visualize the number 3 times. To help you learn to relax physically at level 3, I'm going to direct your attention to different parts of your body. And as you focus your attention on each part of your body, you're going to mentally relax that part, focusing on your skin and any sensations that you have there and just allowing it to relax. Relax your scalp. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyes and the tissue surrounding your eyes. Relax your face. Relax your tongue and jaw. Relax your throat and neck area externally and internally. Relax your shoulders, arms, and hands. Relax your back. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, relax your spine from your neck to your lower back. Take another deep breath, and as you exhale, relax your chest externally and internally. Take another deep breath, and as you exhale, relax your abdominal area externally and internally. Relax your pelvic area and your hip area. Relax your thighs. Relax your knees. Relax your calves. Now focus on your toes and relax more deeply. Focus on the soles of your feet and relax more deeply. Focus on your heels and go deeper. This is your physical relaxation level 3. You are now at a deeper, healthier level of mind, deeper than before. Whenever you mentally repeat and visualize the number 3, your body will relax as completely as you are now, and more so every time you practice. To enter mental relaxation level 2, take a deep breath, and while exhaling, mentally repeat and visualize the number 2 3 times. And you're at level 2, a deeper level than 3. Level 2 is for mental relaxation, where noises will not distract you. Instead, noises will help you to relax mentally more and more. To improve mental relaxation at level 2, practice visualizing tranquil and passive scene in a 3-dimensional manner, engaging all of your subjective senses. Imagine or visualize yourself in a place of ideal relaxation. You may sense yourself on a beach on a warm day with the breeze blowing, hear the waves and see the blue water. You may sense yourself in the woods and hear the birds and feel a gentle, warm breeze on your skin and smell the earth and trees of the forest. You may sense yourself floating in a cloud in a warm blue sky. Bring yourself to a place of deep relaxation, utilizing all of your senses. Enjoy the tranquil and passive scene. Relax and go deeper. Take another deep breath, and while exhaling, mentally repeat and visualize the number 1 3 times. You are now at level 1, the basic plain level, a deeper, healthier level of mind. To help you enter a deeper, healthier level of mind, I'm going to count from 10 to 1. On each descending number, you will feel yourself going deeper, and you will enter a deeper, healthier level of mind. 10, 9, feel going deeper. 8, 7, 6, deeper and deeper. 5, 4, 3, deeper and deeper. 2, 1. You are now at a deeper, healthier level of mind, deeper than before. It is a wonderful feeling to be deeply relaxed, a very healthy state of being. Now repeat after me in the privacy of your own mind. I will always maintain a perfectly healthy body and mind. I appreciate my body and my mind. Every time I function at this level of mind, I will receive benefits physically and mentally. I have greater understanding, compassion, and patience with myself and others. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5 and cause a sound with my fingers. At that moment, you'll open your eyes, feeling fine and in perfect health, feeling better than before. 1, 2, coming out slowly now. 3, when you open your eyes, you will feel fine and in perfect health. You will feel better than before. 4, 5. Open your eyes. Okay. So, how was that? For those of you who did it.
It's relaxing.
Short and sweet. Do you feel any different? Again, let's kind of check in with your body and see if you feel any difference at all from that.
Jill, that felt great.
Were you driving?
I was, but by the time that like the beginning part, like I missed a little bit, but I was able to come home and just lay down on my floor. It's similar to the Silva method. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it is the Silva method.
And it's so lovely to hear someone familiar leading that meditation part. Thank you for that.
Thank you. And I just wanted to give people a little, like that really was, I don't know, maybe it was 10 minutes or so, but you can really adjust your mental state and your physical state quite quickly. And if, I do this every day, so I can do it really quickly. All I have to do is close my eyes and say 3, 2, 1, and I feel that. So it's kind of like you train your brain to easily get into that state. And why did I do these exercises today? I feel like it's really important for us to connect with ourselves in order to make good choices. And meditation, or even just movement and a little breath work, can just bring you back to home, to what's going on in here, and maybe less of what's going on here and more of what's going on in here. There are many ways that you can do that. For some people, it's a beautiful walk in nature. For some people, it's a hot shower. There are many ways for you to do it, but it's important for all of us to do it if we want to be at our best. And I think that's ultimately, I know that's what I'm interested in. So I want to talk, now we're going to go into the more intellectual part of this. So I want to talk about ability, because in order to make good choices, you have to have the ability, right? If somebody says to a very busy mom who has, 3 small children, is working a full-time job and commuting to the city or whatever, oh, well, you just need to work out an hour every day. Well, no, she doesn't have that ability, right? So you can think of it in that way, but really, if you think about it, those are all her choices that have brought her to where she is at. No judgment at all. I'm just saying that where we are in our lives is a result of all the choices that we've made. And most of us are not completely stuck in a situation. We can change it for the better if we really, really want to. But you kind of have to have the wherewithal, the state of mind to be able to even consider that, right? So how do we give ourselves the ability to make better choices? I believe very strongly that it's all about nourishment. So for example, if you don't drink enough water, your body gets dehydrated and your brain doesn't work as well, and you feel tired and your skin gets dry, and there's all these downstream effects, and you're not as well equipped to make good choices because you're dehydrated, right? Same thing with if you don't get enough sleep at night, by choice or not by choice. Now your brain is compromised and you're kind of in that higher stress state. So you're probably, you know, there's a ton of research how we eat more food and we go for like the more high, you know, refined carb food when we're sleep deprived. So if you get enough sleep, that's nourishment. If you drink enough water, that's nourishment. If you eat enough protein, fat, and fiber, that's nourishment. And I specifically bring this up because obviously we're all interested in health and you know, maybe losing weight or maintaining our weight or whatever it is that you're interested in. And one of the big problems that we get is snacking or having cravings. A lot of times it's just because we're not nourishing our body properly. If you don't eat enough protein with your meals, your brain is going to drive you. This is hormonal. This is not your fault, right? At that point, you kind of don't even have as much control because your brain is like, no, we need more fuel. So we don't necessarily say, well, you know, oh, I just need more protein. I'm going to have a piece of fish. We go, I need something. I don't know what it is, but those chips look really good. So I'm going to eat those chips, right? So if you want to be at your best, you have to fill up. You have to fill yourself up, and not a stuff your face kind of way, but, you know, fill your tank with nutrition, with sleep, with movement, with mindfulness, with having a hobby, with spending time with your family, you know, all of those, with prayer. All of those things are nourishment that fill us up so that we're not always looking for something. You know, when you feel like, let's say you don't have a good spiritual practice, you might feel an emptiness inside, and food is always there for us. You know, it's like, it's so easy. It doesn't talk back. It doesn't demand anything of us. It's always just there. So a lot of times we may feel empty inside for some various reasons, and then food just is there for us. We're not really fixing the problem, where it's just a bandage that often will make us feel worse afterwards, right? So that's what I mean when I talk about ability, is rather than thinking about, oh, well, I can't eat this and that's bad for me and I shouldn't do that, what can you do to fill yourself up so that now you're in a place of, you're on a firm footing to make good choices? Does that make sense? Any comments or thoughts about that? I'd love to hear your comments or thoughts.
I like how you are able to just remind ourselves to fill up, right? Fill up our cup, however that may be. Like, it can be water, you know, that would be great. It can be food, but it can also be like, you know, like a quick meditation. Maybe just like, I needed that meditation. I felt like I was running around and I'm like, okay, like, you know, and I wanted to catch this class, and I came home and, you know, and got to do that quick meditation. I'm like, oh, like, now I feel so much more grounded. And I had to fill that up first, instead of like, I could come home and just grab a bag of chips, because chips make me happy too. But, you know, but yeah, fill up my cup, and, you know, that quick meditation, I think that will be, it's a great reminder. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's so easy to be an autopilot of like, what's next? What do I have to do next? But when you slow down and you take that moment to do that short meditation or a little stretch or a little walk or a little nap, then you come at every situation from just a higher level, honestly. I mean, you're really just at it. You're just better. Was anybody else going to say anything? Oh, Pam, you're muted.
I just find if I want to snack on something, I think twice about it and try and hold back for a few minutes, because usually that's not really what I want. I want to do something else, or I'm bored and I'm just picking up things. I am lucky, neither my husband nor myself, we really go for any junk food or processed food. So I really don't have that in the house. So
Yeah.
if it's something to munch on, it's nuts or it's a little piece of cheese, things like that, a fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Any other comments? Joy? Hi.
Hi. Sorry I was late, but
Okay.
what really resonates the most to me, I love your idea of nourishment as being more than what we eat. And I think that the idea of being like centered and feeling kind of centered and stable and is part of a wholeness that, you know, I'm working on getting back to, because I do think that to feel like overtired or to feel even thirsty and not realize it, to like be pushing through something, I do think that triggers for me a mindlessness about looking for comfort. It's not like whoever else just said, I'm not one to necessarily eat junk food, but I will be less mindful even about getting myself something to eat. Like I'll put things off that aren't great habits, and then at the end of it, it's like then trying to like regain some kind of comfort, trying to and then that feels like things get off balance in a way that they didn't need to get off balance, if instead to take the moment to get plan and regroup and all that stuff. And I like what you say, Jill, anyway, of, you know, it feels more exciting and compelling to make it the wholeness of the nourishment on all the parameters. And even, you know, like you have said before about all the different kinds of foods and all the different, you know, it's not about taking away necessarily, but the fulfillment that. So anyway, just those are my thoughts.
You know, this is great. I love hearing that, because that's exactly, I mean, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. and it is more exciting because you can think about, because the dieting industry and really the health industry in general, the nutrition industry, is very much about restriction and what's bad for you. And there's so many, and I know you love to, you know, eat and cook like really nutritious, like whole food stuff. There's so many exciting things that you can create. And you can really get excited about. Now, some people don't like vegetables, so I know that that's true, because I feel like vegetables is just, there's so much variety in the vegetable world, you know, like vegetables and fruits, like you could just eat so many different things. But yeah, keep it fun, keep it interesting, keep it something that you're like, you know, like you can look forward to your meals before. And I feel like that's the foundation. Like the typical way that they tell us to do it is take out all the bad stuff. And then, you know, maybe you eat the good stuff, but make sure you take out all the bad stuff. And that, unfortunately, like if none of us had ever heard of dieting before, it might work. But we've been, you know, in this for so long, our whole lives, that it's like we don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, you know.
Can I just add into that, like, I don't know anybody, like you have to eat something at some point, usually every day. So it's not just like, well, what's the diet and how do I edit, you know, what do I take out or edit something? Sometimes maybe it is if there's an allergy, but most of the time it's like lifestyle. So then it's like, what's my whole lifestyle? What's my whole plan? And if I'm pushing myself to the wall, which sometimes I do, and work too hard and do too many things, and then at the last minute I've got to think about, okay, something for dinner, and I haven't done any planning, or I don't have good choices or whatever, the like subtle guilt trip from the world of like, well, what you should or shouldn't eat doesn't help, to my opinion, at all. You know what I mean? Like even it like it just doesn't help, because it's like it has to be the whole life, the whole lifestyle to me. And you know, even if, let's say someone did eat the bag of chips or whatever, it wouldn't be the end of the world necessarily if the whole lifestyle is then supporting healthier choices, right? Like,
yes, exactly. And you really, what happens is once you get that, you do have that nourishment, there's a physiological effect as well. It's psychological, but it's also physiological, because your brain is, our protein, some of you may have already heard me say this, but our protein needs are on a 24-hour cycle. So if you did not consume enough protein, your brain is going to be telling you, you need to eat something. And again, it's not going to tell you, you need to eat protein. It's just going to be whatever, just bring it in. And, you know, our brain is sensing our nutrition levels all the time. So you need, even just for that level alone, get the nutrition in, and get used to living that way. And then you can start thinking about removing stuff that you know is not good for you. I mean, there is that aspect to it that's important, but it shouldn't be the first thing you do. Like, it shouldn't even be the 10th thing, I think, because there's a lot around nourishment that's being neglected, you know, like eating out of boredom or, you know, all of that stuff. So I do want to move forward, because this second piece, so, and Joy, you weren't here, but I talked about the 3 things for making good choices are ability, which is the nourishment piece, and the second is wisdom. So I want to talk about wisdom and what I mean by that. So what is wisdom? Like, where do we get wisdom? We're all wise. I know that. Like, where do you think you get your wisdom from?
Learning, trial and error.
Yes, yes. So you get it from your experiences, but also just, I mean, you read books, you study. I mean, we all have, probably most of us have, you know, higher degrees and stuff like that. So our learning, education, intellect, but also our experiences. And like you said, Pam, there's trial and error. So unfortunately, it's more sort of in our human tendency to look at our failures, to focus a lot on our failures, right? And we see them as bad. But actually, when we do that, we're missing opportunity. We're missing a very important opportunity, and that is when we fail. So I'll just use an example, somebody who said, you know, I'm not going to eat sugar for a month. And the second weekend, the person's eating sugar. Oh, that was a failure. Well, yes, you could just now feel bad about yourself and say you suck and you're never going to do this and you're never going to be able to figure it out. And you might do that a little bit, but then you got to move out of that phase quickly and move to, I wonder, why do I feel the need to eat sugar? So that was an opportunity for you to learn about yourself. And if you get stuck in the negative recriminations and, you know, the feeling like a failure, it's easy to get stuck there. Believe me, I know. I'm not saying I don't do this, but if you can pull yourself out and go, I have this pattern. I wonder why I have this pattern. I mean, like, that is where wisdom comes from, right? I mean, let's face it, most of the people that we follow, like, you know, famous people that inspire us and all of that, they've made a lot of mistakes. And that's like, we even want to hear about their mistakes, how they worked so hard and they made all these mistakes and they figured it out and then now they're better, right? Like, that's exciting for us to listen to. I mean, every movie or story is kind of based on that, the hero's journey, right? So we're our own heroes, and we can look at our mistakes and go, now this can be very simple of, I probably eat a lot of sugar because I'm not eating enough protein, or I don't do enough planning, like Joyce said, or I don't have the right stuff. I have the wrong stuff in my house. I don't have the right stuff, like Pam was mentioning, right? It could be simple like that. But when it comes to food, and actually pretty much a lot of things in life, there's usually a deeper thing going on there. And so I would encourage you to explore that, because that's going to be you're going to be much wiser. And the other thing is also look at your successes as well, and make sure you learn from them. Like, what did I do right in that situation? Like we recently, a group of us did a detox together, and there was a lot that was right, you know, like, so you could look at that and say, oh, I did that detox and I did really well. And what did I learn about my body from that? So that's all contributing to your wisdom. So please do not miss the opportunity to learn about yourself, because you are, let's face it, the most interesting person in the world. Right? I mean, I know I am to myself. So one thing I want to say is, I just want to mention briefly, we don't have a lot of time to talk about it. This is something I'm really digging into, is unconscious beliefs. So a lot of times we're making choices based on our, well, not a lot of times, all the time, we're making choices based on our beliefs. Question is, are we conscious or unconscious about that? And if we are conscious and we know we're making choices based on a belief that we think is not so good, how do we change them? How do we identify our beliefs and how do we change them? That is exciting for me. And I have my methods. That's like a program. That's like in our programs, you know what I mean? Like that's deeper stuff. But the fact is that our lives are the physical, living, breathing manifestation of our beliefs for the most part, you know? So it's important to understand that, and your beliefs will affect your choices. The more that you tap into that learning aspect of, like, I made mistakes, why, you're going to uncover your beliefs. And the other piece I want to talk about is intuition. So intuition is something that we all have. It's like swimming. Like every human being, short of someone who has literal physical limitations, every human being can swim. Like we can swim. Some of us don't learn how to swim, but we all have that inherent sort of birthright, I guess you could say. Intuition is the same thing. So we're all born with intuition. The question is, do we learn how to use it? Do we even know that we have it? Do we have intuition, but we don't use it in a skilled manner? So some people are born, like I know that I'm not someone who has like a readily available intuition. I know a lot of artists do, right? A lot of artists will say, oh, you know, it's just my intuition. But it is a tool. And if you have it and you don't know how to control it, that's also not as much, you know, you can actually learn to control your intuition. Not control it, but tap into it in a controlled manner, I guess is a better way of saying it. So all of these things lead to your choices, right? Your past experiences, what you learned about yourself, your failures, your intuition. All of that comes together to be your wisdom. And that is how we make choices. So assuming you have the ability, right? Like you're nourished, you feel good, you're doing pretty well, you're sleeping well at night, right? How do you now make a choice? It's with your wisdom. And so I would encourage you, first of all, to learn from your mistakes, learn about yourself, forget about the outside stuff, learn about your own self, but also to use your intuition. Now this is like conversation time, because I just said a lot of stuff, and I'm sure you have thoughts about that and you know, questions or
what. Can I say something? This is
yes.
Sylvie.
Hi.
So a few months ago, after asking for 20 years, I was allergy tested for food. Ugh. And it turns out that every food I really love, I'm allergic to, although it was explained to me that probably if I eliminate gluten from my diet for 6 months, other foods can be added in because my body is so primed to make antibodies. And I've been off gluten for 3 months. My seasonal allergies have disappeared. Mm. And what I once thought was going to be impossible, because I could eat pasta every day, has gotten easier. And I don't crave pasta or sugar as much now that I've been gluten-free. And I just can't believe the additional benefits it's added. I mean, I was plagued with seasonal allergies. Yeah. And tons of drugs to help them. And now it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So I think food is so important. And I happen to be a physician, and I don't think Western medicine pays enough attention to food.
Yeah, I agree. And it kind of, what you're saying, Sylvie, also reminds me almost of like the ability piece, where if you're bringing in something that's so inflammatory for your body and now it has all these downstream effects, maybe you didn't even notice how much pasta was affecting you because you were just in that sort of inflammatory state.
And I thought it was seasonal allergies that were so bad. Yeah. But it's been quite an eye-opener. And I did go to a formal dinner after 2 months of being gluten-free. And I had a little bit of the quinoa that was served with the main course. And I took literally, I don't even think it would have been a square inch of cake. Mm-hmm. And 2 hours later, I had a massive histamine reaction.
Oh.
And it was bad enough that I thought, I won't be making that mistake again.
Mm. Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. I didn't eat gluten for 4 years. And then for years afterwards, I would eat it occasionally. And I would have like a little, I didn't have a reaction, but in my blood, I could see antibodies. And now I eat gluten like probably once a week or twice a week. And I have no antibodies to it. So it's interesting how over time I basically healed. I do think that I still have to be careful with it.
Yeah.
But it did eventually work itself out, which is I'm very happy to say.
I hope so, because my biggest challenge is I'm going to Italy in October. Mm-hmm. And I cannot imagine being in Italy for 2 weeks and not having any pasta. Although a lot of people have said it may be different there. Not that I'm I might break down once, but they don't use preservatives and everything's fresh, and I might not react that way, but we'll see.
Yeah, people have said that. And also you would be surprised. There are actually a lot of gluten-free options in Italy. Surprisingly, you would think that they would, poo-poo it, but I've seen that in restaurants in Italy.
The problem is a lot of those gluten-free, like corn and rice, and I also tested positive for it.
Yeah.
But I have been eating rice in small amounts and I don't react. So I'm hoping that was just a crossover antibody.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Well, good luck with that. Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
It's not easy. Any other comments or thoughts about, I said a lot about intuition, wisdom. Joy, go ahead.
Yeah. I think, you're speaking my language. I'm coming back to getting more in touch with my intuition, in the sense that, we're all dynamic, we're all changing, we have different needs at different times. And it did derail me to get into, thyroid problems in the past year. And it just really threw me off in a big way. But it's like remembering, okay, I certainly have the resources to move through it, and being more curious about what that's going to be. And I do think we have a tendency, or at least I do, to want to get the right answer and then kind of like generalize and then make a flat out like, okay, this is what I do, or this is what I don't do. And when I look back, I feel like, as you said about beliefs, Jill, that's triggered for me unhealthy beliefs that were more limited than they needed to be. So it's like to come back full circle to like, well, wait a minute, let me see how I am. Let me, mindfully make some choices and decisions, and might be imperfect, but figure out what's going to go forward. Like, what's the next step? That feels, in the biggest sense, a healthier direction to me, instead of somehow, unconsciously picking up even society's like well, this is all right, or this is all wrong, or this is whatever. And it's like, well, that's not, when I look back on where success has been, it's not been by being rigid, I guess. Maybe it is for some people, or maybe it isn't some time, but I'm like, that's not a good sustainable situation usually for me. So let me cross that, or like explore other options. So here I am.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, because it is very black and white. Again, we've all been indoctrinated to the typical way of doing things with diet and lifestyle, and it is very black and white thinking. And it's just, life is not like that for the vast majority of us. And I wanted to say also that, so intuition is like, it's a little tough because it's not, if we're stressed, like, I guess there's the meditative state where you're really open to intuition. And then there's like, almost like I was just, you weren't on the call, but the beta versus the alpha versus the theta. When your brain is in beta, you're awake, you're thinking, you're intellectual. That's like not the good time to listen, to try to listen to your intuition or use your intuition, because the intellect is sort of gets in the way. Like you said, the brain says, well, no, you can't be adaptable and flexible. You have to be rigid because that's the way things are done. Like the brain comes in and kind of confuses us. But if you can get those chances to kind of clear your mind and get more into that, like little bit of a meditative state, then you kind of, all of a sudden, the intellect quiets down and the brain opens up to so much more creativity and possibility and intuition. So that's one of the reasons that stress is so bad. Stress literally takes our decision-making process down like 100 notches. Sorry, go ahead.
I think I've always been, I feel my intuition is strong. And I learned when I was very young that I guess the way I would frame it is, intuition is what's helping us. So it would never be like something that's like anxious. It's not, it's like, even if it was to figure out like something to protect us, it's usually in a direction of problem solving, not somehow like so that's how I differentiate. Cause I mean, I certainly have my anxious thoughts like everyone else, but it's like, well, then I don't feel like that's my intuition at all, which I think is what you're saying when you're stressed. But I always feel like if I'm really in my intuition, most of the time, it feels positive. It feels moving in a direction that's going to be not always easy, but somehow problem solving or possible, or those kind of things. I don't know if that's how you see it, but that's.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm not like, I think intuition is a very vast and deep topic, and we're all different. I think we all have different ways of getting those ideas or inspiration or whatever. Yeah. We have a few minutes left. Any other comments from anybody else about this? Does this feel helpful to you? Or is it too abstract?
This is great. I think this is great. And when you said something about like that wisdom is really us knowing ourselves more, like being aware, like that's what's coming up for me, like that awareness itself, right? It's not about just wanting to eat sweets, not about just wanting to, eat chips, but it's more of like, okay, the what happened to you that you would like to settle that, whatever feelings that are coming up for you with food. That's what I'm getting at with the wisdom and intuition, and how our self-awareness ties into like making the right decisions for ourselves. So that was beautiful, I thought.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for saying, you're a psychotherapist. Is that the right terminology? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know different kids, some people use counselor and different terms. So yes, thank you for the psychotherapist to summarize very succinctly. But yeah, no, that is so true. And I think it's a little bit of a tough one sometimes, because we are so accustomed to having that negative, that blame and shame about things that we've done. So it's hard to be like, oh, well, you know, what positive thinking can I get out of this? Like in the moment, you know, it's hard. But I'll make another plug for just frequent, like daily meditation practice. I think of it as like my fur coat, if a fur coat could be politically correct. You know, like it protects, it's like a buffer between this, you know, this inner Jill and like the outer world. And I don't know, I'm still kind of trying to come up with a good analogy to describe what meditation does. Right now, that's all I'm coming up with. It's like a soft, pillowy cushion that I can just sit on throughout life, you know? Thank you, Majette.
I feel like for me, it's also about when you're in that state during and even after meditation, there's a clarity.
Mm-hmm.
You just know, oh, this is the right, like when you get it, when you are in that state, you know it more.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly the intuition thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I think it's easier to love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you feel like, I was thinking this morning about doing an exercise around like, who are you at your core, at your essence? Who are you? And you could just write, I don't think anybody needs to share out loud, but, you know, to have everybody write that down. And those will always be powerful, positive things, because our exterior, you know, the emotions, the ego, the personas, all that stuff, that's not really who we are. And when we really know who we are at our core, we are all completely unconditionally lovable and loved. And when you have that, boom, I mean, you come into life with power and confidence and ease. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That I just, you know, and you got to kind of have your, you know, not that you have to be perfect, but, you know, you have to be kind of replete with your nutrition and your sleep and stuff. Not perfect, but well nourished, so that you can now do those things and have that ability to understand who you are. Anyway, I think it's pretty cool stuff. And I think it's the path to true health. I think that the path to true health is that, and not, you know, how many calories did I eat, or am I eating, you know, sometimes you got to eliminate gluten or whatever, but, you know, that's more like the content as opposed to the context. So yeah, this is great. Any last final comments? I know it's after 1 and some people probably have to hop off, but thank you so much for being here too today. This was fun.
Thank you.
Any last comments or notes or questions or anything? No?
Enjoy Italy.
Yes, Sylvie, enjoy Italy. I'm going to Turkey.
Fun.
I'm excited.
Thank you.
My sister lives there, so I think I'll be eating gluten there too. Thank you, Majette. Thank you for being here, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.